Welcome back to another episode of the AA Sports Podcast. My name's Art here with my brother Alex.
What's going on, guys? What's going on?
Alex, big Saturday night of fights. In our last podcast, if you guys haven't checked it out, we gave our recap of UFC 257, Poirier McGregor 2. Go back and check that out if you haven't already. Subscribe, like, drop a comment. It helps spread the word of the podcast. We really appreciate it, and to those who have, we appreciate you guys. We see all the support. Showtime Championship Boxing was back. There was a card on Wednesday. I did not watch it. They showed some highlights during this Showtime Championship Boxing card, and there was some pretty good fights on Wednesday. I might go back and watch them.
Definitely.
But for now, we're gonna talk about the 122-pound division. And, I think there was four really good 122-pound fighters that put on two fairly good fights that ended up being, one-sided, which is weird. It was just weird, completely weird. But we'll start with Angelo Leo, picture courtesy of Showtime. Angelo Leo unsuccessfully defending his belt against Stephen Fulton, who is now the new WBO bantamweight champion, 122-pound champion. Or no, 122 is junior featherweight champion. What'd you think about Fulton versus Angelo Leo?
You know what? It was a rough fight for Angelo Leo, man. It was, these guys were smothering each other the entire fight. Angelo Leo had a cut in the first round. It just looked like Stephen Fulton was, I feel, an all around better boxer than Angelo Leo. I felt like he was able to control. I felt like he surprised some people because he fought this fight the way Angelo Leo wanted to fight this fight. Mm-hmm. But I felt like he did the most damage on the inside, in the pocket, just with his uppercuts, his hooks, and then sometimes he would create some space with his jab.
We talked about in our preview, Stephen Fulton. You picked him to win, right. And he's throws a lot more punches than your normal typical boxer.
He threw more than I thought he was gonna throw.
Over 1,000 punches.
I think it was 1,130 something.
Something like that. Yeah, over 1,100 punches. Definitely out-throwing Angelo Leo and outlanding Angelo Leo. I was surprised at how Fulton pretty much bullied Angelo Leo. He
looked like the bigger, stronger guy.
Yeah, he didn't try to box. At times, yes, they were at distance and he tried to box. But for the most part, he, like you said, he fought Leo's fight and he beat him at his own fight. Yeah. His body shots. And this is going to be something that we talk about in the next fight also. But Stephen Fulton to the body, just, in close, throwing that right uppercut, those left hands to the body, I think really slowed down Angelo Leo. And this isn't to say that Angelo Leo fought a bad fight. He just did not look comfortable in there with Fulton all over. I don't think he was expecting Fulton to stand in there and trade with him and kind of bully him around. Yeah,
I thought for Angelo Leo being in the pocket, the way the fight went, I thought that was his best chance to win the fight. But it just seemed like Fulton was able to catch him with those uppercuts, those hooks, and just overall, I felt like sometimes he was leaning on Angelo Leo, having to carry his weight. I felt like it just wore him down as the fight went on, and he looked like just a bigger guy. And it looked too, if you look at Stephen Fulton's face, it looked like he didn't get touched.
Yeah. Definitely not.
I don't know if it's just maybe Angelo Leo's a little bit of a light puncher or something, but it just seemed like his face didn't really show any welts, any bruising, or that's just from what I saw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I completely agree. Seemed like it looked to me like Angelo Leo was doing decent in the fight. He wasn't doing great, but he was doing some good work. But then you kind of pay attention to what's going on, and he's missing a lot of these punches. Fulton is rolling with a lot of these punches, blocking with his arms and his gloves, and like you said, he just didn't have he was hardly touched.
Yeah. I mean, Angelo Leo landed some good punches on him, but it looked like Fulton was able to take them.
Yeah.
And it looked like he was never really rocked at any point in the fight.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And it just seemed like as the rounds went on, even the corner of Angelo Leo was telling him, hey, you need to start, letting your hands go a little more and you need to work on the inside. And it just seemed like Fulton was getting the better of him. And his corner at one point just told him, hey, you need to go for a stoppage. And it just seemed like Angelo Leo doesn't have that type of power to be able to put somebody away like that, especially not at the top of the division.
And this is where I'm going to come in and say that Angelo Leo's corner was terrible in this fight.
Why
terrible.
so?
For example,
is he trained by his dad?
I'm not sure who trains him, but I tweeted this out. There's gym trainers. There's guys that are good in the gym, but then there's trainers that when fight night comes, they're able to guide you through a fight. Positives and negatives, and guide you to victory, guide you to what you need to do in order to turn things around. Giving your fighter the instruction of you need a knockout and not telling him how to do it, not telling him the whole fight, how to change the fight. You need to use your angles. Well, how? Like, what are you talking about using my angles? Like, to a casual fan, even a casual fan will be like, okay, well, what does that mean? Use my angles. Yeah. A boxer knows how. Excuse me. I'm sure Angelo Leo knows how. But in the moment of a fight like that, they need to be reminded, hey, when you're up against the ropes or when you're in close, take a step to the right and throw the left hand. Take a step to the left and throw the right hand. Yeah. That way it's not...
Or clinch him and turn him and try to get off the ropes.
Exactly. That way you're not always in the front and the center. And Angelo Leo was just, face to face with Fulton the whole time. Yeah. And Fulton, we talk about his body shots, his uppercuts. He was taking little tiny steps. Dude, the slightest step that if I didn't tell you, you wouldn't notice. But he's taking a tiny step to the left, leaning his body so that he could come up with the right uppercut and stay inside so that Leo can't get off his counter punches.
Yeah, it looked like he did a good job of smothering Angelo Leo where he couldn't get the distance. And then even when he did get the distance, it looked like Fulton was just beating him to the jab. Yeah, and it looked like just Angelo Leo just was a lot slower than Fulton.
To me, I thought Leo did his best work when they were at distance. And I'm not saying he was winning the fight when they were at distance. I'm saying...
You felt like he was able to get more leverage on his punches?
More leverage on his punches and counter a little bit. We saw him counter some of Fulton's jabs with right hands, throw his own jab where he landed a couple really good jabs, throw some hooks and land some good hooks at a distance. Right. But inside smothered, he just didn't seem to have any leverage on his punches.
It seemed like he would throw like maybe 2 punches, but then Fulton would come, lean on him, and then start throwing his combinations. And it would be like 10 punches before we even saw like a response from Angelo Leo.
Agree.
And props to Stephen Fulton. I mean, he's from Philadelphia. They're known to raise some of the toughest boxers out there. I mean, there's a quote that Danny Garcia once said, if you're from Philadelphia and you don't know how to fight, you're going to have a tough time making it in boxing because you're going to get beat up in the gym every day.
Yep.
So maybe that's what's molded Stephen Fulton into being just a world champ.
Yeah, now a world champ. Definitely Stephen Fulton, I thought he fought a harder fight than he should have. I thought he could have made this fight a lot easier for himself, but he wanted to show that, he was able to hang with Angelo Leo, and he definitely, gave him more than he could handle.
Yeah, you told me that this wasn't the best Angelo Leo. What do you think he could have done different as far as maybe if he ever sees Stephen Fulton again? What can he change or what can he do different?
I think, not necessarily smothering yourself, using your legs a little bit more. He looked really flat on his feet. He went head down, head into Fulton's chest and trying to fight like that. And, no real good lateral movement. And I don't know if he froze, his trainer froze. Something happened though, where Leo just didn't look like he knew how to get over the hump of fighting a guy like Fulton or being behind in a fight or being in a close fight where you need to, go into second and third gear or go to plan B, plan C. There was nothing. It was like the same thing over and over and over for 12 rounds. And if it's not working, why are you still doing it?
Yeah.
So I'm going to say his trainer froze a little bit. I'm going to say Angelo Leo did not have proper guidance. But, hey, it's something that you live and you learn. It's their first defeat. And I'm sure he'll come back. The 122-pound division is stacked. So we'll definitely see Angelo Leo in some good fights coming up. Dude, I looked up like 3 different rankings, and these guys are ranked all over the place. But let's just say I think Leo and Fulton are probably top 10 122-pounders. I'm excited to see guys like I don't want to say Ray Vargas because I'm not super excited to see Ray Vargas against Fulton.
He's a crafty guy, though.
He's
Ray Vargas is just one of those crafty guys that not too many guys are lined up to fight him, even if he's a champion. Ray Vargas is one of those boring fighters that you don't want to be faced against because he's awkward. He's a good boxer, but he's very crafty. So you got to be real careful with a guy like him.
Yeah, somebody who I would like to see them fight is, hopefully I don't butcher the name, but Murodjon Akhmadaliev. He beat Danny Roman for the WBA, I think, 122-pound title. I'd like to see a unification with Fulton. I mean, I think Danny Roman and Akhmadaliev.
You say you don't want to butcher his name. That's exactly what you do.
Well, I'm trying not to. I'm sorry. But I think him and Danny Roman still have unfinished business.
Who is Danny Roman? Am I drawing a blank? I don't recognize who that is. Who's Danny? That's him?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen him.
122-pound champion for a long time.
Oh, maybe I haven't just been paying attention to the 122-pound champ. And you know what? It kind of sucks for Angelo Leo because, you know what? I feel like there was a lot of pressure on him. I felt like he was going to be everybody was looking at him to be the next champ from Albuquerque, the next Johnny Tapia, the next, who's the other kid that came up from Albuquerque, New Mexico?
Romero.
Yeah, Romero.
Danny Romero, I think.
Yeah, Danny Romero, I think that was his name. Can't really remember, but yeah, I think that
we're gonna get butchered by the boxing experts. Sorry, guys, we're just freaking winging it.
I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just on the podcast.
Hey, I'm surprised you knew Angelo Leo was from New Mexico.
What do you mean? I saw the pre-fight packages. I'm telling you, I saw his last fight. That's why I said that I thought Fulton was gonna win this fight,
and he did, and you were right.
Hopefully, Angelo Leo can get maybe some new guidance, maybe some things that change in his I don't know. Yeah, maybe in his camp for now because listen, if he needs to go through some of these other guys, oh man, this 122-pound division is dangerous.
Definitely dangerous. And on the undercard, the co-main event, we saw a 122-pound battle between Aleem and Vicious Vic Pasillas. Like I said in the preview podcast, I had worked with Pasillas in the past. He's a great fighter, but I think he met somebody who was better than him, and Aleem just dominated him in this fight. Aleem caught him with a right hand, I believe it was in the second round. Yeah. Caught Victor with his hands. Well, his hand was up. He just caught him right on the nose and really hurt him. And after that, it seemed like any good hook or right hand that Aleem landed was bothering and hurting Victor. What'd you think of Aleem?
Man, you know what? I really thought Vic Pasillas was just gonna walk right through this guy, but listen, Aleem is the real deal. I mean, he was able to keep the pace with a guy like Vic Pasillas. He was able to keep the speed. And not just the speed, the power that this guy has, man. It seemed like every time he touched Victor, it looked like Victor was hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, he was throwing those looping left hooks that was countering Victor Pasillas' jab. I felt like he just kind of had his timing. Mm-hmm. Like he had his timing down. Like every time Vic Pasillas, and he has the shorter reach than Aleem, it looked like he already knew, okay, he's going to try to set everything up with the jab, which that's kind of Victor Pasillas' favorite punch, is to throw that jab to kind of get his range, get his just his rhythm. He always starts it with the jab. So I think those looping left hooks really caught him, and that right hook to the body, man, that really slowed down Vic Pasillas.
Those body shots, I think, at one point had Pasillas hurt.
Yeah.
Look, I told you something during the Fulton Angelo Leo fight that I don't know if people are gonna agree with, but this is my thoughts. I think Victor Pasillas can beat both Angelo Leo and Stephen Fulton. Yeah. I really do, because I think the matchup of Aleem was a bad matchup. Yeah. Now you don't see it. I didn't see this coming in my research leading up to the fight, because it was so hard to find tape on Aleem. I saw the body punches when he fought a lefty. I saw a little bit of the power, but man, he looked so much better, than what I had seen, and he needed this type of performance to be somebody like Pasillas. So, props to Aleem.
Yeah,
both guys. I want to talk about Victor Pasillas because I worked with him in the past, and I think the world of him. Like I said, I think he could beat some of these guys that have a more traditional style of fighting. Aleem is going to be a problem for any 122 pounder because of his style and his power.
I mean, he has that type of power where if your chin ain't locked, man, he's going to drop you. And even if it is locked, he's going to drop you. So he packs some serious punch. I don't know. I feel like maybe, you know what? And Victor Pasillas had his moments in that fight. It seemed like there was times where he was able to catch Aleem, and it looked like at times he was Aleem was stunned, but every time it just seemed like his power was able to change those momentum. Every time Vic Pasillas was able to get to him, and it looked like he was able to change the tide a little bit. It just seemed like Aleem's power just was able to get him out of some tough spots.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe the knockdown in the second round. If that doesn't happen, how does Pasillas take some of these punches? Because, I mean, in the first round, it looked like he took them okay. Nothing too crazy. But after that second round knockdown, it was just everything was hurting.
That second round knockdown, let me tell you, man, when he clipped him on the nose, I mean, it looked like he was stiff. I thought he was out. I was like, oh, man. But, I mean, Victor Pasillas just didn't give up. I mean, he was game the whole time. But, I mean, props to Aleem, man, because he really showed that he's going to be a world champ. You could tell. I mean, and with that type of power, I would hate to be matched up with this guy.
I think any of the champions just looking at Aleem, I mean, I think it's going to take a lot of money for some of these champions to fight Aleem. Just because you look at the style and you look at how good he looked against Pasillas, you look at the power. He's a left-handed guy fighting righty. So that left hook, that's why that left hook is so strong, because he's naturally left-handed. But then you see that right hand coming when he's not even right-handed, and hurt a guy like Pasillas like that. Aleem's gonna like we both said, he's gonna be a problem for anybody at 122.
Do you think that there's anything Vic Pasillas can do if in case he ever gets a rematch with a guy like Aleem? Was there anything that he can do or fix that may give him a better chance at winning a fight like this? There were certain things that he was doing that I felt like he could have changed. Like at times I felt like the reach of Aleem was, I felt like maybe Vic Pasillas wasn't used to that type of reach. So every time he would like pull back, but he'd pull back with his hand down and think that he was clear from getting hit with a punch, and he'd end up getting hit. So, is there anything that he can change to make this a better fight for him?
Yeah, this fight was definitely based a lot on the range. The range of Aleem, I think, threw off Pasillas, especially early. Once you see, and then, like I said earlier, and this isn't to make excuses or anything for Pasillas, but that knockdown in the second round throws everything off because you're hurt. You're trying to recover, and at the same time trying to get your range and your distance. And Aleem you could see that Aleem just had his range down, his distance down, knew that if Victor Pasillas pulled back like he had been doing, he was going to be able to catch him. Yeah. Excuse me. So yeah, Victor Pasillas wasn't able to figure out that range because he was too busy recovering from that knockdown. He came out aggressive, which is also something that you can do against a guy with long arms. You know, try to stay in closer. Those hooks were coming very, very wide. So when a hook comes wide like that, you know, you try to get in a little closer to smother it. If not, try to go under it. But yeah, he looked a little too stiff. His upper body was a little too stiff. Like to see a little more bending at the waist, side to side, going under punches, not just, you know, pulling back like he does. But that's how, you know, you're at 122, you're not used to a guy with that type of reach.
Right.
And I don't think you're going to see another guy, I mean, other than Ray Vargas, who's like, you know, 6 feet tall also.
Yeah.
With that kind of range. So like I said, I think somebody with a more traditional style, Pasillas can beat a lot of these guys. Hopefully this fight didn't take too much out of Pasillas, but Rais Aleem, dude. Yeah, I was very, very impressed.
Yeah.
Very
I mean, because we were, I mean, obviously we were rooting for Vic Pasillas, but we hadn't really seen much of Rais Aleem. I mean, there's not really much tape on the guy either. Yeah, I looked on YouTube several times and I saw like some amateur fights from back then, but maybe like 1 or 2 pro fights that he's had. But other than that, I mean, not really anything. But I mean, he showed that he's not just a power puncher. He can put his shots together, and he's really awkward,
crafty on defense.
He'll throw the right hook to the body, and even then he'll throw the right hook to the body, but you don't know if he's gonna come up top. And if he comes up top,
the way he throws it.
Yeah, and if he comes up top and you're trying to block it, you know, to the body, you're gonna get clipped and you're gonna go down. No doubt. So, I mean, when a guy hits like that, it gives you so many opportunities to because the guys are so, you know, not afraid of the power. But if it's one shot and they can drop you, I mean, that's you're hesitant to pull the trigger. You're hesitant to you got to be real careful, and that can throw your whole game plan off.
Yeah, I completely agree. Another thing Rais Aleem did well was the level change. He was standing up straight. He was in the middle. He was low. He was all over the place, not giving Victor Pasillas a solid target to hit. You know, again, can't praise Aleem enough.
Yeah.
And Victor Pasillas, you know, I doubt he sees this, but if he does, keep your head high, man, because you got a bunch of talent. And I think, like I said, I think he could beat a lot more of these traditional fighters at the top of 122. It's just, you know, Aleem is not that traditional fighter, and he's going to be a problem for anybody at 122.
Yeah, man, I tip my hat off to these guys, man. It was a good fight. You know what? I was on the edge of my seat the entire time because it just seemed like these guys were real skilled, fast, powerful in their own ways, and it was a good fight, and it was a real active fight.
Yeah, definitely. So on the preview podcast, we did not talk about Rolly Romero. And dude, I totally forgot he was on this card.
I refuse to talk about Rollies until he rematches Marinez again.
And you know, there was an article that came out where Rolly Romero was talking smack about Marinez because they're not rematching right away, blaming it on Marinez. I mean, you know, and this is no offense to his opponents, but he was supposed to fight Justin Paldo. His opponent, Paldo, misses weight. Then he fails. Rolly accepts the fight, and Rolly and his team accept the fight even though Paldo missed weight. And then Paldo doesn't pass the pre-fight physical. Doctor says, all right, you're not fighting at all. So they had Avery Sparrow ready, waiting to fight in case something like this happened. So Rolly's Romero fights Avery Sparrow and ends up winning by TKO. I think it was like in the 7th, 8th round, something like that.
I think it was the 8th round.
I mean, I thought he looked better than he did in the Marinez fight.
Yeah, he did look better than he did in the Marinez fights for sure.
Maybe because Sparrow doesn't throw as much. Sparrow, it doesn't have that pop to have Rolly's respect, even though he did hit him a couple times with some good punches. But Romero drops him in the first round. Sparrow didn't seem to phase him much. And then I believe it was like in the 6th round, Sparrow tweaks his knee very awkwardly. And
Yeah, it
goes
seemed like he
down.
was just trying to slip and dip, and he kind of just blew his knee out or something.
Something happened there. Hopefully he's okay.
Yeah.
Because those non-contact injuries, you know, in any sport, NFL, NBA, boxing, when you go down like that without being touched or anything, you know, it could be something could be really, really wrong. He got up, he tried to keep fighting, but in the end, his corner stopped the fight. Avery Sparrow's corner stopped the fight. What'd you think of Rolly in this fight? Let's talk about him real quick.
I thought he made some good adjustments since his last fight. I feel like he was able to punch in combinations. I feel like he was just faster and he wasn't relying so much on his power as much, at least. I mean, there's still that. He still thinks that he hits so hard that he can just get everybody out of there. And that he's going to find out real quick when he gets in there with a top guy that he's going to need to go back. He's going to need to go to those boxing roots and let the knockouts come. Don't try to go and force them because that can leave him to get clipped. And I think that's what happened in the Marinez fight.
Yeah.
I think he was looking for one big shot. He thought that Marinez wasn't going to be able to stand in there with him. And it just looked like he was looking for that haymaker to end the night, the whole fight. So I think in this fight he did a better job of just trying to box and I don't know, just putting his combinations together, and he looked quicker.
I like how he used his jab, a lot more jab in this fight. His combinations did look quicker, did look better, but to me they still look clunky. They look like uncomfortable for him.
Yeah.
You know, like he's not used to throwing combinations in a fluid way. He's just always trying to knock out, like you said, with every single punch. So it just looks weird. I mean, look, not too long ago, he was clamoring for a Ryan Garcia fight. You know, I think at this point, Ryan Garcia probably stops him.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably.
So Rolly is a step behind from guys like that. But matching him up back with Marinez would be smart. Marinez next month fights Richard Comey, which is, I think, a way better opponent than Avery Sparrow. You know, no disrespect to Sparrow. He came to fight and he did try to knock out Rolly with some of those haymakers he was throwing.
Yeah, and he caught Rolly's a couple times. But
Comey's a former world champion, world-class fighter. And for Marinez to be taking that fight, I think I think that fight's even more dangerous than a Rolly fight, a Rolly rematch.
Yeah, could be.
You know, so I think Rolly has taken steps back in his career, but again, you know, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. We'll see if he can move forward and make some adjustments in his career and get back not only to his winning ways, but to dominating ways.
Yeah.
You know, because once you get to this point in your career, it's not just about winning, it's about looking good.
Yeah.
And that's something that he is missing.
Trying to get those big fights.
Exactly. Any last thoughts or comments on Showtime Championship Boxing? I hated the freaking commentary team, man. It's too many guys talking. I
mean, you know what? I like this card. In general, I feel like this is the type of card that boxing needs.
Yeah.
You know, two undefeated guys in Stephen Fulton versus Angelo going toe-to-toe for the WBO championship. Vic Pasillas versus Aleem. Two undefeated guys trying to make a name for themselves for the WBA interim championship. And then, you know, Rolly's was, you know, in a good fight, you know, against the game Avery Sparrow. So all in all, I think this was a really good card and I enjoyed watching it.
It sucked that it had to go up against UFC 257.
Yeah,
because a lot of people will not watch these fights because let's watch Conor McGregor, you know, and the UFC, because whenever the UFC puts on a pay-per-view, it seems like it attracts a very big audience, and you know, cards like this kind of take a back seat to those big UFC cards. Again, subscribe, drop a like, drop a comment. Really appreciate it. Free way to support the podcast. And yeah, any last comments?
I think we're good.
Thank you guys for watching this episode of the AA Sports Podcast, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
Thanks a lot, guys.